a lot of bait. Cute little guy. Little lunker in training. But see, I got the front hook. This ain't hooked very good. See what hook he's got again?
Front hook.
Every time, dude.
It's crazy.
You have way more of a chance when they're eating in the front to get them in. Hey, Elite Series Pro Darold Gleason. I want to give you a few tips here on throwing lipless crankbaits. Down here in the south, that's our winter time frame. Almost, for us, almost pours into almost a pre-spawn. Like sometimes we skip winter. Winter may come once a month on a cold front. So it's almost kind of pre-spawn because our fish are starting to think about chewing, eating, feeding up, and then going to the bank. So this is long time something. If you fish any of the Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bends, Lake Fork, the lipless crankbait that time of the year is a great way to catch them, and it's a great way to catch big ones. But there is some method to the madness. So I've long, thought about when I first started fishing tournaments. A lot of them were that time of the year, and I would go and just chunk and wind, chunk and wind, chunk and wind, chunk and wind. And as I've done it more, you start realizing that it's not a chunk and wind lure. It's a lure you got to fish like every other one. So my biggest tip with this is pay attention to your cadence when you get bit. And so what I mean by that is as you're fishing, you chunk and wind, you're not getting bites. Make a cast, slow down. Make a couple casts, slow down. Make a couple casts and maybe yo-yo it off bottom a little slower. So you hear pros say these things like change your retrieve speed. Like we mean that, we really do that. And it's something that for me, I had to mentally picture and visually picture underwater how that bait's going, how the fish is reacting. And a lot of times it's weather related and things like that. So that time of the year, as you're getting cold fronts in and things like that, I generally, if there's been a cold front or there's been a major temperature change last few days, generally I'm gonna start slower and work my way up. And so I have to tell myself when I make a long cast, and you're making big bomb casts, fishing grass flats and things like that with this, I have to really tell myself, slow down, like real slow. Because I wanna barely tick the grass. If the grass is really tall, you might have to speed up some. But generally that time of the year, the grass has died down a little lower. It's not matted up, it's a little lower. And so you just want to slowly tick the grass, almost when you hit it, almost just barely pop it and yo-yo it. And that for me has worked well when it's super, super cold. You get 4 or 5 days as a warm-up. I've noticed a lot of times you're throwing it a little bit faster, a little more of a steady retrieve. The key thing is you still want to make sure you're contacting the grass on your cast. If you're not hitting any grass at all, you're not going to be able to generate that reaction strike generally. If you're getting hung up in the grass too much, that could be a detriment as well too. So you may have to speed up if you're getting hung up too much. But one of the other tricks you can do there, I have many different brands in my box here. You can never go wrong with the old school Bill Lewis rattle trap. That's one of my favorite colors, been chewed on pretty good. Many companies make them though. We got 6 Sense lures, is real popular down here in East Texas area. I have some Booyahs, Yozuri. I'm sure I'm leaving some out, but I have a hodgepodge of these, and that's because generally you're gonna learn each one's run different depth. Like I have found for me, like this 6 Sense one, seems to run just a touch deeper than like a rattle trap. That doesn't make one better than the other. It just makes different tools for different jobs. So a lot of times, and I've seen this my whole career fishing down around this area, you'll notice in those tournaments, guys will have 4 or 5 different, and we call them rattle traps, but lipless cranks. They have 4 or 5 different brands, little different hue, little different color. And that's because depending on which creek of the lake you're fishing, the grass might be taller or the grass might be shorter. Or even like in the back of a certain creek, you could go in there and the grass could be still matted up around the creek edge some. You get out toward the front and it might be, have died off a little more. So that variation of brands and size will help you control your speed rate. Like you want to just tick the grass, you don't get hung in the grass, but you also don't want to be missing the grass completely. You're just not going to generate those strikes. So just general size, I use 1/2, 5/8, even all the way up to this big boy red-eye shad. That's generally, you're going to pull that out if you're in 8 to 10 foot of water and there's grass 2 foot off the bottom, way down on the bottom. That's when you're going to pull out the big boy. You're trying to get down there and contact the grass, yet still move the bait fast enough to generate those strikes. So tons of hues here. It's hard to not go with the red and orange hues. I feel like we all have our favorites. Just For me, generally, I always have 4 or 5 on, and I play with them each day. If it's cloudy, I tend to go with like the more, the more orange or red. Like this one even has some black and pink in it. So I use that on more of the cloudy days or rainy days. Also the gold seems to do really well those days. And then I go more of the traditional oranges on like a bluebird type day. You can play with the sounds as well. Everyone now, it seems like every company has the one knocker sound, or like the old school rattle trap still works really good. But we'll have a variety of each of them out, and you literally just give them a try each day, try a few different retrieves, and when you get something, you go with it. And you don't go with it all day, you go with it until it quits working. You go 30 minutes without a bite, I go back to changing my retrieve, changing my color, changing my brand, and play with it and get some bites. It's a great way to generate bites all around the country, like all the Tennessee River lakes. This works really well in that time frame. So it's something for you to cover water. It's great for practice. It's great if you just like to go out and chunk a bunch. The good thing about throwing a rattle trap or a lipless bait that time of the year is it's generally cold, and so you got that blood flow and turning that thing all day. So it's just a way that we have all caught those bigger pre-spawn late winter fish. And also it's a great way in tournaments to utilize covering water. So hope these tips help you put more fish in the boat that time of the year. Have some fun with it, change your retrieve speed, and go catch them.